it's predatory. That's the difference. That's my problem I have with it, is that the language is
It's
predatory.
not
It is
though. You think
predatory
it is, but
because
that's
it's
your
the associations. Because if you get it, again, you're not trying to do this out of the goodness of your heart. You're charging money for this shit.
I have with me Colin Mitchell. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Been looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah. So just for context, and just so that everybody's kind of like on the same page, the theme of this episode is why financial freedom, why financially charged freedom courses uh, are interpreted as a scam. And I want to, and I do want to go, and I want to give you at least some kind of applause to, have this kind of debate with us, like with me today. And I'm really grateful for that. With that being said, really how I want to start this conversation off is based on understanding from your perspective. So, you've been a sales leader now for what is it, like 15, 20 years. You
I'm
are,
not that old, man. Come on.
well, you've been doing it.
13.
Yeah, 13 years. Okay. So you've been doing sales now for like over 13 years.
Yeah.
You're getting into real estate and kind of looking over like your real estate deal masters. It shows, you've wholesaled 40 properties, you flipped 17 homes, bought 22 rentals, like everything looks really good on paper. But it's, it's just interesting that you're charging a $2,000 course price tag, which went up for $200 a month, by the way. And if you're doing so well, the first point of this conversation is why, why try to monetize this, especially when you have these master classes, which are typically associated with either like scams or they're fluffy or Ty Lopez bullshit. And I would like you to, and I want to try to really just understand your perspective there and why, like, what's your differentiation?
Yeah. So there's a lot of questions in there. Trying to think where to start. All right. So the first place I'll start is you're questioning, like, if you're doing so well in real estate, why the heck would you do this?
Mhm.
Right? Like, which is a fair question. And to be honest, I had the same question. And so when I got started in real estate, I hired a mentor and I paid for a program and I became part of a community. And that time that I spent with him was, I think it was like 8 weeks or something like that, getting coached up on some stuff. That program was more specifically with helping me figure out how to find and market off market deals. So it was a really specific part of what I do. And we stayed in touch. And I'd call him from time to time when I had little questions that popped up or whatever, because we kind of built a relationship. And I asked him that same exact question that you just asked me, right? I was like, dude, if you make so much money on deals, doing deals, like, why are you messing around with education and community and coaching and all that stuff? And so, um, he gave me two answers. There's the honest reason, the really selfish, honest reason.
You know, my mind.
Yeah. Knowledge business is very profitable. It is, not gonna lie, right? If you have a good understanding of what your time is worth, right?
Mhm.
Like, I can do some backwards math of how much do I make a year? How much work do I put in? What's my effective hourly rate, right?
Yeah.
If you respect your time and you know your value and your worth, you can do some backwards math and really figure out, like, hey, is it worth it for me to do this or not? Right. So that's the selfish reason. And that's what he told me. He said, one, it's really profitable. Okay. Second reason is
Okay.
I have ran businesses, companies, scaled teams, been a sales leader. Right. And so I do have that itch of helping people, come in, make money, become leaders, start their own business, whatever the case is. Right. So there's that sort of reward of like helping people
Mhm.
start on the journey that I start with and hopefully be successful. Right. So there's that sort of fulfillment piece of it, of being able to do that, because I'm not scaling a big team, right? Like, I have 4 people on my team. I probably don't need any more than that to do what I'm going to do in real estate, right? They know their job. They really don't need me that much from a support standpoint because they've been doing it a while now and there's very little. So I think that maybe answers your questions. Maybe you have some follow-up questions from
Yeah.
there, and then we can kind of dive into the rest
Yeah.
of
And so
the
let's go ahead and talk about that first part. And that's actually, when we talk about the selfish motivation piece of it and the component of it there. So the problem that I have with this mentality is that it contradicts the idea that I'm trying to help people, because that we're gaining this knowledge around, in this case, $2,000, which the money in itself, before it was $200 a month, and it was like, okay, that's not that big of a deal. But it's now $2,000 one time. I spoke with Clint Huff when we talked about it on the reasons why you did that. This is his move. I assume this is his move. The problem that I have with this is that the intrinsic motivation is based on, like, this is literally what you led with. Education is inherently a very valuable thing, and I think we can all agree on that. But the problem is you're using language that, I just want to point to just a couple things on, like, your LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn specifically says things such as helping people leave the rat race. And we look at some of the posts, and I'm going to show those here in a second. Um, you know, you talk about things like, is your 9 to 5 holding you back from financial freedom? And the obstacle, the issue I have with that is that these are very emotionally charged language. It's extremely emotionally charged language. And this language is inherently manipulative. And when I say it's manipulative, and this is very strong language, I want to be very clear with that. So I want you to imagine for a second, and we're going to talk about, I want you to defend this position. But let's imagine for a second that you have we'll use this bucket, this example. So let's imagine that you have this young, impressionable, motivated, and eager, has the right desire for financial freedom. They have the right aptitude, appetite is there. Let's imagine that this person is a single mother. Let's imagine for a second that this single mother has $4,000 total in her bank account for her savings.
program's not a fit for her.
Okay, but so if we look at that language, though, that language says leave your 9 to 5.
But look, it's social media, man. Everybody uses strong language. You do as well, right? Like, I mean, it depends on how you perceive it, right? And part of the reason of changing it from like a monthly to a one time is because what we found, and look, we didn't just willy-nilly throw this thing together. Like, I had lots of people reach out. I had over 55 conversations with individuals figuring out where they're at, why they're interested in real estate. Like, this isn't just a money grab by any means. Like, I want people that are ready to get into real estate, have, the means to be able to do that, right? And no, we're not looking or preying on people to spend their last $2,000 or swipe their credit card. Like, we're having conversations with these people, making sure that they're a good fit. And look, to be honest, there's been scenarios where we've had conversations with people and they're like, look, I would really love to do this, but I just don't have the budget. And we let them in the community because it's like, look, we just want good people in there that are going to take action and be a part of the community. Like, there's also another piece of it where, people can collaborate and do deals together and build that piece of it, which is a whole nother piece, right? So is it just about the money? No. We're not preying on people and trying to use strong language to just get people to spend their last dime on a program and promise them anything.
No, that's bullshit. Like, no offense, man. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen here. Like this is the reason that this is bullshit. What you're saying doesn't make any sense. So like I'm gonna pull up the last few things, like the last few posts that you physically made. I used to think I needed 20% down to buy an investment property. Now I buy houses that cost me $0 out of pocket. And here's how you can too. Follow these steps. It's like that intrinsically, when we look at this particular
But
post,
let me ask you this. How many real estate transactions have you done?
I don't do real estate transactions. I'm not trying. I don't pretend to do that. But you're not.
Right.
But you're not buying a house at $0 down. I know that much.
I am. You want to see? I have huts.
I don't really give a fuck. I'll be real with you, man.
Look, I thought we were just gonna have a good conversation, but you're kind of starting to get a little bit on attack mode. But this is called a HUD. This is when you take ownership of a property.
Okay, cool. So, but a random.
No, hold on. Let me finish. I listened to you. I have stacks of them right here, and so there's many ways to buy real estate with $0 down. I'll tell you all of them, and I'll tell you the way that the one that I use. Okay. So, because basically what you're claiming here is that I'm full of it, and I'm not.
I'm not saying you're full of it. I'm not saying you're full of it. I'm saying a random person that takes your. So Clint Huckle did not make his first deal for how long? How long did it take Clint?
It took him several months to get his first deal.
Okay, it took him several months to make his first deal. Okay. And I have no doubt that you're great at what you do. That's not what I make. Again, I'm not calling you a liar. What I am saying is, when we look at this, okay, build long-term wealth. I don't have an issue with that. Earn a good living, while learning. Okay. I don't have an issue with that either. This is not for everyone. You'd make a disclaimer about that. I don't hate that language. Okay. What I do have a problem with is when you make these kind of fucking claims where it says, is your 9 to 5 holding you back from financial freedom? That kind of emotionally charged language is completely disingenuous to me.
Well,
and
it's not though. That was
it is disingenuous.
But look, that's my that's my experience. So if somebody doesn't resonate with my experience, they don't have to follow my content. They don't have to engage with me. They don't have to be a part of the community. Like nobody is forcing anybody to do anything. That's my personal experience. After I was an entrepreneur for many years, I sold 2 of my businesses. I didn't want to start another business. So what did I do? I went and got a job. I absolutely hated it. I was a sales leader for an AI company, and there was a day where it was actually Easter weekend. Me and my family were up in the Bay Area visiting family, and my kids were outside playing in the nice weather, and I was stuck on my laptop on another freaking Zoom call talking about stuff that I absolutely didn't care about. And so I felt trapped to my job. I didn't want to do that job anymore. And so I went all in on real estate. So that's what I'm sharing in those posts is my personal experience.
Got it.
If that doesn't resonate with somebody, that's fine. They don't have to follow me.
Yeah, and that's what that's what people like Ty Lopez says, who's also entangled with lawsuits. That's what Andy Elliott says, who's also entangled with different lawsuits.
No, but you can't. I don't follow those people, and I don't know.
You mentioned.
I know.
You mentioned Ty Lopez on your.
I know who they are.
Yeah,
I know who they are. I don't follow them. I don't know the latest of what's going on with them. But like, I'm not a Ty Lopez. I'm not a Andy Elliott. Like that. You can't put me in that category. Like all I'm doing is sharing my experience. Yes, I have a knowledge business that I charge a fee for people that I feel are qualified for. And that's all I'm doing.
But it doesn't.
There's other people. There's other people that you support that have services or courses that I'm sure that they charge money for, and it's a non-issue. I don't know why you felt the need to attack me in the comments.
Yeah.
Like, I actually respect you. Like, I have a lot of respect for you. I've supported a lot of stuff in the past because, like, there has to be somebody out there that's willing to pull curtains back and call people out on their BS. Like, it takes a lot of balls to do that. But
it's not that because what you're
not that person.
I understand that, and this is not me attacking your character. I want to make this very clear. I don't have doubt that the things that you're saying where you got a house for $0 down, I have no doubt that those claims are accurate. So this is not a misrepresentation of that. I have no doubt that you've made $38,000 in profit. I have no doubt that Clinton has made $17,000 in profit. In fact, he showed me. And there's
What's the real issue then? Because I mean, he might not disagree. I don't know.
the issue is the way the language is framed. If your point, this is how it should be.
But that's your but that's your perception of the language, right? Like your perception of
because
it.
that language is associated with masterminds, which are typically associated with scams, with frauds, with manipulation. And when we talk about,
You might not be wrong. You might not be wrong.
I'm not wrong.
I'm not.
It's it's leaning on multi-level mark. Hold on. I'm gonna this is the problem. If the entire reason I have a problem with this is based on the framing. If the framing was, I want to teach you how to do real estate better, that's fair. We want to take somebody who is a beginner, and we want to get you to level up. That I would have no problem with that language. But why the fuck then are you trying to frame it around financial freedom? It's not about that. Because we go back to the beginning of the call. The beginning of the call, you literally said it's a selfish motivation. Education.
I said it's part of it. It's one of the reasons.
Okay,
it's profitable.
But so let's not make this around a debate around community when the intrinsic motivation is, well, how can I monetize my community? And it's like, you also say things like, well, we'll just let them into the community. Well, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Why you charge $2,000? So why do you charge $2,000? But you're like, well, by God, I'm such a nice guy, I'm going to let people in. That's bullshit.
So
that's bullshit.
So no, there's a couple of points there. I'll touch on all of them. Do other people use similar language? I don't know. Okay. But all I'm saying is that your perception of the language is your perception. We can agree to disagree on that, how somebody else perceives it. Because look, it's based on their own experience, right? If they feel trapped in their 9 to 5, like I did, right? That's my experience. It's going to resonate with them.
Okay.
If they don't, they're going to scroll through it and think nothing about it and probably never even think about it again. Like, that's my point.
Got it.
Now, the second point is that I'm an open book, dude. Like, giving you the fact of like, hey, it's a profitable, like opening up with that. That's just the damn honest truth. Like, I have nothing to hide. There's no reason that I would do anything, right, business-wise, if it was not profitable. Like, I just wouldn't, right? So there is that element of like, it's a profitable thing, right? Do I wish that like I could just do it for free for everybody?
I mean, you could, but I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you to be a charity. I don't want you to be a charity. You have to monetize.
So there's exceptions, right? Like, number one, I'm not claiming to be perfect. Do I do social media right or perfectly? Definitely not. Like, do I make mistakes? Probably all the time.
I know, dude.
Right?
But like, if someone went to your fucking,
hold on, just let me finish.
Okay.
Just let me finish my thought.
Yeah.
And but the thing that I'm saying is do we make some exceptions for folks when we have a good conversation and we think that they can really get in there and take some action and potentially do some good for themselves? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So nothing wrong with that.
All right.
It doesn't contradict the whole purpose.
It does, and here's why. So
not necessarily. Everybody does this.
You got kids. I assume. Okay, cool. And how old are your kids?
I have 4 kids. So I have 10, 9, 6, and 3.
Young kids. Okay. So let's imagine for a second, kids are a little older, right? They're 18, 20s. All right. And let's imagine for a second that some guy makes these claims online. Now let's assume for a second he's a nice guy. Let's assume that he's got a decent reputation. Would you or would you not be skeptical of the intentions of the guy that has a sales course for several $1,000s? And he's also saying, trust me, bro, I have your intentions at heart. And like, that's what you're basically saying. And so so on the flip side, as a father, I'm a father. I have an 11-year-old. I would be skeptical, but like if somebody approached your kids who let's imagine for a second, fast forward, like they're presented with information. Maybe it's around crypto. What if it is? Like,
Yeah.
what if it, but what if it's not just,
Yeah.
what if it's about,
So
it could be anything.
yeah, I get your point. It's about, I get your position on that, right? Like, yeah, look, everybody should be skeptical. I'm not telling everybody to, like, you should be skeptical. Like, the reality is there is a lot of scams out there, right? You would hope that you teach your kids enough to vet some of that stuff out. Like, have people do people get burned on buying courses or community all the freaking time, all the time, right? But it's like that doesn't mean all courses are bad or all courses are scams, like, or all communities are scams. Like, that's just not the case. Is there some bad actors out there? Yeah, there's a lot of them, but that's with everything.
Okay. So help me understand. So we have again, when we look at the language, escape the rat race. Let's get out of your 9 to 5. Here's the promises of money that you can make. Um, it, so who is this course for? Who is it for?
It's for anybody who wants to get started in real estate.
That's bullshit because there's people that can't afford it. So who is this course for?
People that can afford to get into real estate, people who want to get into real estate.
Okay.
So look,
How do you define who could afford it? How do you
so look,
that?
there's a lot of different ways to get into real estate, right? So a lot of the conversations that I have with people that are sending me DMs or curious of how they can get into real estate, a lot of that is like, hey, where are they at financially, right? Do they have time? Do they have money? Or do they have both, right? If you don't have a lot of money, well, then you need to have a lot of time. So people that don't have money, they can get into wholesaling. Wholesaling is a great place for people to start. You don't need a lot of money to get in. You could build up some capital to then do other things in real estate. There's other people that say, hey, I have a great job. I actually love my job. I don't want to leave my job, but I do want to build wealth, right? Which means I want to build rentals and I don't have a lot of time, but I do have budget, to invest in marketing and so on. So it's different for everybody, right? This is not for one specific type of individual. It's, I've done a lot of different things in real estate, which is fairly unique. Usually people are, do wholesaling or do the BRRRR method or do flipping. I've actually done it all. And in the community, we have content on all of that, and I have experience with all of it. So, it depends on where people are at and if they have more time, money, or both.
Yeah. So let's talk about that then. So we talk about how you mentioned that if you have enough money that would be somebody that would be potentially qualified. So define for me what enough money means. What does that mean?
I mean, it depends on what their goals are. I mean, I can't answer that specifically.
I mean,
If they have no money, right? If they have no money, then they could do wholesaling, right? And that's a good place to start. If they have some money, then, some money being, maybe they have a few $1,000, right? That they can not like their only savings, like they have reserves that is not going to impact them personally, that they could invest in marketing, then maybe buying rentals is a good place to start.
All right. So
it just depends, right? There's other people that I've talked to where they say, hey, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars that I can invest in real estate. Okay. And so, that puts them into a different category.
Right. Well, someone who has hundreds of thousands of dollars is trying to escape the rat race.
You would be surprised. There's people who make, $1 million a year, 500,000 a year that I've spoken to personally.
That are not doing.
They hate their job.
Well, they're not doing a W-2.
They are.
And they're your students.
There's one that I work with, yes, and there's another one that no, he has a business, but he doesn't like what he does anymore. So those are two very different situations.
So we talk about the guy that, and again, we don't have a defined measurement of money and what that looks like. Obviously, it just depends, right?
Because there is no specific number. What is situation is different.
All right, well, no, let's look at the percentage of debt to, their debt ratio and their circumstances. So let's imagine they have no debt. Like, let's imagine they have $0 of debt, just to make the equation very simple. Let's imagine that this person makes $100,000 a year. Okay. Let's imagine their bills are $4,000 a month. They don't have any debt, but they have bills, right? And they make $100,000 a month or $100,000 a year. Is that person qualified based on that?
I don't know. Depends. Are they a high spender? Do they save money? Do they have savings? Where do they live? Like, there's just too many variables. I feel like I understand what you're trying to do. Like, you want like a very definitive, like, well, who is,
Well, how do you?
okay,
I mean, how do you? No, you said that the woman, the imaginary hypothetical woman, which relates to somebody that is trying to very much escape the rat race or is trying to get out of a 9 to 5, who only has.
no, you came up with the hypothetical.
I did. I said an imaginative,
Right.
hypothetical scenario of a single mother that's $4,000
But
savings.
but that's the problem with the debate, right? Is it's all based on a lot of hypotheticals. Like, what I'm talking about on social media and what the content of the course is all based on facts and experience.
But that's
right.
but you're talking about a gut feeling when you're talking about qualification. You can't even define it just depends. What is how do you measure if someone's qualified? But besides, it just depends. What's the qualification criteria?
Well, I mean, if you walk in, yeah. I mean, since you seem to love hypotheticals, I'll give you a hypothetical.
Yeah, I love it. Let's go. Come on.
So let's just imagine, you just got your first, job, and you're making some money now. You're building up a little bit of savings, right? And you go into a financial advisor, right? And they're going to give you a certain risk tolerance assessment, to kind of decide, like, what's the retirement plan for Landon? Does he have kids? Is he a risky person? Is he not a risky person? Like, there's no right answer, right? The solution or the recommendation that financial advisor gives you is going to be different than if somebody else walks in. Maybe they don't have kids. Maybe they have a higher risk tolerance than you. Maybe they have a little bit more savings built up. Like, the path for you and that other hypothetical person is going to be different based on a lot of factors, right? So there's no cookie cutter, like, hey, this program's for you, this program's not for you. Like, it depends. And I know you don't like that answer because it's not concrete and it's not definitive. And I get that.
Okay, so let's ignore then that the qualification is more of a gut feeling right now. You don't have algorithms that can DQ a prospect, right? And so if we go back and we talk about the $0 down for the home, for example.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Would it be fair to say that not everyone is going to be able to obtain the $0 down for a home?
No.
Okay. So not everyone
I'll
can
explain.
Yeah, I would love the elaboration.
Yeah. So there is two ways that you can buy houses. Well, there's four really, but I'm only going to tell you two. You can use a private money lender. Okay. So private money lender is like, often people think, oh, I have a rich friend, like they'll invest in my deal and I'll give them a return. Not necessarily. So, private money lender could be somebody who, is a rich friend. Yes. It could also be somebody who maybe has worked for a long time, makes decent money, has a 401k or a self-directed IRA. Those plans, you can borrow money from those and fund a deal. And then when that deal completes, you give them a healthy return, which could be 10 or 12%. And then that money and the profit that they get would go back into that retirement plan. So that's one way, private money lender. I don't use that way. There's a lot of people that do. For me, I'm just a little bit uncomfortable asking people for money. So I don't do that. All right. The other way is using a hard money lender. So used to be that hard money lenders, they give short-term debt well, they give short-term debt for real estate deals. Now, your rates, your terms get better as you have more experience. So I have better rates, I have better terms because I've done a lot of deals. But when I got started, I would use a hard money lender and he would fund 100% of my deal. Okay. Now, those rates are very expensive. Okay. But they lend specifically on the deal. So it's not based on you, not based on your debt to credit ratio, not based on your credit score. None of those factors have anything to do on whether that lender is going to lend you money on the deal. As long as it's a deal that's discounted enough, the rehab budget makes sense, and the after repair value of the house, it all lines up, they will lend on that deal. The rates are high, but you factor that into your underwriting.
And the percentage of deals that you have closed that have leveraged this method, and the percentage of deals that your students or folks of the community have closed, roundabout roughly, what does that look like using this method that's advertised?
Look, the community is new. So
Let's not worry about it.
how many
Let's
people-
just use anecdotal,
Yeah.
personal.
I probably about 50% of the deals that I do are using a hard money lender.
Okay. So 50% of your deals are using a hard money lender. And then what are the disqualifications on why someone wouldn't be able to do the $0 down?
If the deal didn't pencil, right? So if you're new in real estate and you're new to underwriting deals and you underestimate the rehab budget and you overvalue what the house will be worth after, right? And then the lender does their underwriting and doesn't agree with your calculations, they would not lend on that deal.
Okay. So going back then, so, and I'm specifically challenging the logic of, again, the $2,000 price tag, which was $200 a month. What is the intention why the price was changed from $200 a month to $2,000 one time?
Yeah, the intention there was really to not necessarily, just a couple things. One time just seems easier. And frankly, it's honestly just something that we're testing. We've gone back and forth. I think that people ultimately don't like a monthly fee for something like this. That's my instinct. And we've just been testing back and forth. So honestly, will we go back to 200 a month? There's been people that have said, "Hey, you told me it was 200 a month." We let them in for 200 a month. Like, it's something that's new and we're testing and we don't have it all figured out. And obviously there's some exceptions that we can make, right? So there's no, set in stone rules for this at the moment.
Okay. So what is the differentiation? Somebody makes and I just want to go to the real estate deal makers page, and I'm just going to share my screen here. And I'm just going to go to this page. Okay. And so just fucking thing is okay. So I'll tell you my suggestions, and I'm gonna tell you the difference between real estate deal makers and then what's being promised or discussed on LinkedIn. So we see this most of we talk about in 18 months, you have your credibility created, $9,200 month cash flow. I don't have an issue with this kind of proof. This is fine. Most of this money is with little money out of pocket, and all of it's on remote. I don't have an issue with this technically. I would argue, I'm not an expert in this, but my gut says that you would probably want to physically inspect the home. But let's ignore that for a second. I don't think personally this is something that I would trust myself to do remotely.
Let's touch on that for a second. So that goes back to a point I made earlier, right? Different people have different risk tolerances. I would say personally, I'm more on the high risk tolerance. My risk tolerance is high, right? So,
Well, there's risk tolerance, and then there is.
but somebody who would be willing to do this and never step foot in a house, like, so my main market is St. Louis. That's where I do this, St. Louis, Missouri. I've never once been to St. Louis, and I've never once stepped foot in any of the houses that we own or flipped. There's people who, to them, that sounds absolutely insane. They would never do it just because their risk tolerance is a lot lower than mine.
Right.
Right. And so something like this might not be for them if they're not willing to do that. But there's an exception to that, right? When we do talk to people, the first thing I ask them is like where they live, right? Because I live in California. I can't do this in California. The prices of homes is too expensive. The, the risk to do this in California is even higher than what my risk tolerance is, right? And so, but there's people who I talk to who do live in markets where they can do this in their own backyard. They live in a market where the numbers make sense. The profile of, median home price, rent to price ratio, all of those things match or in alignment with my market. So for them, they could do it, without having to be remotely.
Sure. And I'm not going to agree or disagree. Risk tolerance is equated and measured differently based on the person. So I'm certainly not going to debate this because the value proposition is based on whatever the person is. So I'm making a point. I don't have an issue with like what you get inside, all the tools you use. I don't have an issue with this. And by the way, I've seen your videos, the ones that are listed in here before they were gated. It wasn't properly done. And
Yeah.
I looked at all of them. So I guess I got $2,000 worth of value out of it. I've recorded the transcriptions, but so this is everything we wish $50,000 in coaching and masterminds that taught us back to the one place for fracture costs. So I don't have a problem with this. This language is fine. I want to make this very clear. The value proposition on this page is fine. Okay, that's no issues. And your education that you're talking about, I also have an issue with. My specific problem is these emotionally, and it's because it contradicts the claim that you're trying to help people. You're not helping people when you're using this exploitative language. You would not like this language used with your children. I'm right. And so if your kids grow up, you would not want them to be entertaining language like this that isn't you. That's my issue with this, is that and I'm, hold on. So when we talk about the types of people that are typically drawn to these type of programs, and you took mastermind courses and now you're repackaging the mastermind courses into something that's in your words, more affordable. I don't have an issue with the affordability piece. I don't have an issue with the fact that you're trying to make money off of the affordability piece. I have an issue with the language that you're using. This was not about the merit in the dissolution of what you're doing is morally or ethically wrong. I want to make that clear. I'm not attacking you, but you can, as a seller, you used to be in fucking sales.
Yeah.
You don't have to use this kind of fucking shitty ass language. Okay. What you can do is you could say, I want to help people get into real estate, and this is how we do it. Don't do the stupid Colin, don't sell me on the stupid shit about escape the 9 to 5. This is how your belief is on things. Like it's intentionally designed to emotionally drive someone to want to do clickbait. It's the same bullshit that you see these scam artists do. I'm not saying you are, but you're treading that line, dude. You're treading that line. You got to be careful with that shit. You can't say get financial freedom by taking my course. You can't make claims like that, because it's not, even assuming the fucking shit is $1. What about all of the compliance, the tax liabilities? Like, if we go into, if we go into the actual breakdown on like the risks that are involved with this, like we talk about the types of laws, like, so like we talk about legal and compliance, and I know you talk about it, there's a lot of complexities. So like, we talk about things like the Dodd-Frank Act implications, fair housing laws, anti-wholesaling regulations, depending on the state that they're in. Students who don't know what questions to ask could hold themselves liable for this information if your course is geared around beginners. So when you go and even if the course was one penny, you can't make those kind of fucking claims that you would not want your children to fucking follow. You know I'm fucking right about that shit. You know what you're doing. Don't play this. Don't play this shit with me. That's what I'm at. That's what I'm challenging.
So okay. So I heard you out. Clearly, you don't have an issue with a lot of stuff, which is great. Your issue is with the claim, right, of helping people leave their job, right, to get into real estate. But see, the thing is like that, I'll go back to like, that's my experience, right? I left my job feeling stuck in my job after being an entrepreneur and then getting a job and got freedom. And it's not just about, I mean, for me, it's not just about the financial freedom. It's about the time freedom. Like, I'll be real with you. I don't work that much. I'm very efficient with the time that I work. I'm very efficient with that time, very effective with that time. But real estate for me is more about the time freedom than the financial freedom. And so I'm not, financial freedom is great, but for me, success, and look, definition of success, different for everyone. My definition is a good combination of both time and financial freedom, right? So all I'm doing is sharing my experience. Like, that's it.
You're sharing your experience and also putting a price tag of $2,000 on the experience. Like, I'm sorry, Colin. Like, it's just, it goes back to your original point where you're just trying to make money. So
no, I said that was one reason, right? There's other reasons. I mean, what is your point that you're making? Really, what, it should be free for everybody?
I don't want it to be fucking free. I don't want it.
So why is there an issue that it's not free? You don't want it to be free, but you have an issue that it's not free.
I didn't say that. I'm talking about it is emotionally charged, manipulative language. That's my fucking problem. If you have somebody who is
most of the language you use is emotionally charged.
No, like, I'm not manipulating. No, I have reasons why I do it.
You do it for a different reason.
Okay, sure.
Right, you do it for different reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
I call people donkeys, dildos, cucks.
No,
what do you want to say?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's emotionally, but that's to get a reaction.
It's
right? That's to get a reaction. Is it to get a reaction from people or not? Like, be honest.
The reasons that
No, just answer the question. Come on, answer the question.
Sure, but it's not the same. But it's not the same. It's remotely the same.
It doesn't matter though. But look, it is because look, you do it for a different reason.
I don't charge. I don't need to charge.
Maybe not.
Right? I don't have a fucking course that I'm trying to fucking like pillage.
Okay, but look,
hey, so let's criteria on the space of alternative motivation.
There is. Look, you put in the time that you put into social media,
okay,
to build a following. Yes or no?
It's called content. You're right. Yeah.
Okay. Were you not just about to sign a brand deal for a product that you don't even use?
I didn't sign, but let's go talk about
it. You did. Well, but you considered it.
Bro.
And I'm not
$2,800.
Okay. So if you're using emotionally charged,
a sponsorship,
emotionally charged,
two different topics. Sponsorship is different.
Okay, but you're monetizing.
Yeah,
it's monetizing your. It's not that different, man. And I'm not trying to annoy you. I'm just trying to make a point that
it's not a point.
You're using emotionally charged language to gain a following, in which you are about. And look, hey, you didn't. Like, most people would have signed it and done it, and you didn't. And so, like, kudos to you.
You should monetize. The point is not the monetization piece.
Okay.
It's not around that.
But
don't it. So when we talk about things like sponsorship, when you get to a certain point in your fucking career, yeah, you're going to be presented with a sponsorship from a company. My sponsorships don't endanger lives unless I'm like, it's not dangerous.
Neither do I don't endanger lives.
I'm not saying you do. What I am saying is
So
that
then, but then don't throw that out there.
no, if somebody goes into real estate and they're totally fucking ignorant and you have a course for $2,000 promising financial freedom and you're making escape the rat race, you're using that language.
I'm very honest about the risks.
The implication.
I share about the risks and the things that go wrong just as much as I share about the things that go right. So I'm not, hey, it's rainbows and lots of gold all the time. I'm very clear that like there's risks and that things don't always go as planned.
Right.
I'm very honest about that.
Can we agree to switch the language where it's not trying to propel someone to think, okay, like it's predatory. That's the difference. That's my problem I have with it, is that the language is predatory.
It's not.
It is
You
predatory.
think it is. That's
because
that's
it's the associations. Because if you get it again, you're not trying to do this out of the goodness of your heart. You're charging money for this shit. And I would actually I would just, when I see that we have people that are you've got real estate and you want to make real estate better for everybody. You want to make real estate more affordable. You want to make real estate more more widespread. You want to try to make it easier for anybody to come in and for people to learn. And I don't hate that message. I think that we as a community, as a society, we need to get more educated on certain topics. I'm not disagreeing with that. But the intention, what is the intention? Is the intention to level up real estate knowledge, or is the intention to profit off of people that are wanting to?
the intention is to help people, give them the knowledge, the resources, the tools, okay, to follow a similar path to myself where you don't have to, be a slave to your job, or you can make your own schedule. And real estate, everybody knows, real estate has made more millionaires than everybody else. So the risk of you going out and starting your business and being an entrepreneur, I would argue the risk of that is higher than you doing real estate, where you're investing into like a hard asset, right? I mean, look, there's people who go buy crypto, and there's people who go to the stock market, and there's people that do all kinds of things that are way riskier. Like, your argument that it's predatory would mean that like what it is that I'm offering is not a good thing, but you've already agreed that it is. Like, you've already seen the content, you agree with a lot of the stuff. So, I mean, like, I'm providing value. There's a price tag for that. Okay. And the argument that the thing that you may have an issue is with the language, right?
Yeah.
You've made that very clear.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to, my argument to that is like, that's my experience. The reason I got into real estate is to get out of having to have a job. Okay. The reason that I got into real estate is because I did feel trapped in that job, and real estate allows me to, like, even when I had businesses, and I was not a W-2 employee, I was still trading time for money. I was still sitting on Zoom all day doing stuff that I didn't enjoy. So that language is directly with my experience.
Okay. It's directly with you. It's directly with your experience.
If that emotionally charges you or other people, then they resonate with it. Like,
it's not helping people leave the rat race through real estate. It's not the intent. What Colin, what you're doing is not egregious. I'm not calling you unethical. I'm not calling you a bad guy. I'm not calling you a scam artist. And I'm certainly not saying that you are doing things that are predatory. What I am saying is that this is an amalgamation of a a lot of different yellow and red flags that I have seen and I have personally witnessed where people will make these type of claims where they'll say things like, we'll give you financial liberation, escape your 9 to 5. And if you use my knowledge to do that, I'm going to help you get out of your situation. And the things that you're also saying too is that not everyone is going to qualify for your program. And the people that typically are, this is the issue, is that if you have somebody that is feeling vulnerable, and let's say that they don't disclose, I know you and I both know you don't have a checklist of all the things that you're going to disqualify somebody.
No.
You absolutely don't. And so
No.
you take it at their word. And so there's a trust here that these people who say they don't disclose to you that their financial situation, they just say, no, it's fine. And, or there's this omittance of this information. The amount of money now that you're charging at $2,000, who's to say this doesn't balloon into something more and you become this mastermind courses that you are vilifying? Why?
I mean, there's a lot of hypotheticals.
But why is the mastermind courses that you took that information from, how is that different than what you're doing? Why is it different?
So the information that I took from the masterminds that I joined were for very specific things and cost a lot more money. So, and I have, my own experience with what I've done specifically. I'm not creating, anything new. Like, people have been doing real estate forever. People have been doing Section 8. People have been doing the Burr method. People have been flipping houses. They've been doing it virtually. Like, I haven't created anything unique, but I've built relationships. I've tested a lot of things. I've tested markets. I've spent a lot of money on marketing. I've spent money on education, right? And I've packaged that all up. A lot of the stuff in the community is material that I use to train my team that now, does the bulk of my real estate business. So, I just don't understand your point, to be honest, on that. Like, it's not, you've agreed that it's not predatory, but you have an issue that
you're going down a slippery slope.
well, but I get your point. Like, let's just say what your point is. Your point is that the language could attract somebody that's, maybe in a bad space because they hate their job. You're saying hypothetically, maybe they're also in a bad spot financially. Then they potentially join this community and maybe something goes wrong and then they're in a worse spot than where they started. Like, that's your point. That's your argument.
Effectively, yes.
If full circle.
Full circle. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Can I guarantee that doesn't happen? I can't. No. Like, there's a possibility that happens. Like, I don't know. Like, if somebody omits information or if somebody isn't honest about their financial situation, that is completely out of my control. All I can do is say, hey, this is where I was at. Here's what I started. Here's what I learned along the way. Here's what's worked. Here's what hasn't worked. Here's the mistakes that I made that I can hopefully help you not make. Okay. And look, it's the same. Like, if somebody goes to a job and is guaranteed this massive OTE that we all know is a joke and they're probably never going to get, right? Like, it's all about the effort that person puts in, right? Are they going to just go into the course and drone through the videos and not take any action? Then they're not going to get the results. But if they come in, they come to the weekly calls, they ask good questions, they start making offers, they're involved and they take action, they should be successful.
This is the multi-level marketing coming out. Oh God. You're talking exactly like Jeremy Miner. I just want to let you know that these are the exact same things that multi-level marketers will say. Go look at any
I don't even know who he is.
So go look at any like Herbalife or if you look at Kiani. I mean, you're talking like multi-level marketing.
It's no different than a job. Like, if you go to a job and you just drone through the activities, you're not going to make what you were promised in the interview, right? Like, I mean, there's no guarantee around anything. Like, it's up to the individual
But
on whether they put the
Yeah.
effort in.
I mean, you're not wrong, but it's not just about effort in the case when you're dealing with homes. I mean, you're also talking about, if you're talking about uh being a landlord, you know, we're also potentially talking about the livelihood of someone else. If we're talking about somebody taking ownership as a landlord, and you know, things fall apart in that deal with a, you know, whether, because you can do all the background checks on a
Yeah,
tenant.
no, those are good points. Those are good
You're,
points.
it's not, so you're not, this is different than a job, because
Right.
you're affecting other people, and you're specifically going into Section 8
But with a
too.
job, if you go in and you don't do your job, you get fired, right? That's the risk of you not doing, if you're not putting the effort in.
But
So it's a good thing.
If
You
it's
buy a
home,
saying we're dealing with houses.
y-
You're saying we're dealing with homes. We're renting. We're becoming landlords. There's potential that things break on the house. Yes, those are all risks associated with that. Now, the people that I talk to that don't have, savings or reserves or whatever you want to call it, right?
Mhm.
I tell them wholesaling's the best place to start. Build up some money before you take on any of the risks with real estate. Like, that is what I tell those people. Okay. Because yes, like, I have many rentals. If something breaks in one of my rentals, it's not an issue for me, right? If you have one rental and something major goes out in that rental and you don't have the money to fix it, it's a problem. So that's why I do tell people, if you don't have reserves built up, wholesaling is the best place to start and build up capital until you can decide, what it is you want to do, whether that's rentals, whether that's Section 8, whether that's flipping houses.
Mhm.
Okay. So, you know, everybody is at a different place, and where they go from there really depends on where they
Yeah,
are.
but like, the people that are getting into this, or they're going to be doing wholesaling, true or false, you have to, uh, in order to act as a broker, you have to have a license.
To act as a broker, what do you mean?
So if you're wholesaling a property that you don't intend on closing yourself, and you're marketing it without like equitable interest or a license, uh, I mean, is it, can you get in trouble with being in like like an unlicensed like real estate brokerage, or, so depending on the state that you're in, there's certain real estate laws that require a license if you advertise or negotiate the sale of a property on behalf of another party. So
I mean,
that's my,
no, not necessarily. This sounds like something you learned on ChatGPT, but the answer to your question is it depends. Is there laws against wholesaling in certain states? Yes. Is there a way to still wholesale properties in those states? Yes. You can double close on transactions,
yeah. So
and you can still do that with no money out of your own pocket,
yeah,
using a
but
transactional lender.
that's what I'm talking about, though, is that these people that hop into the course, if they're overly eager and they don't have the proper education from you for whatever reason, they can't get hold of you. I mean, it's just, you're it's just a slippery slope, man. It really is. I wish that you would just frame the language. If you just escape the fucking shitty language, escape, I can help enable you to get financial freedom. Escape that language and go into, I want to level up your real estate knowledge to make you more effective, to enable you to do these other things. It's about the framing. If we can agree on that piece, and it sounds like I'm beating a dead horse, and it sounds like
I don't think we'll agree.
we're
That's fine. We don't have to agree.
we're never going to agree.
I think this was overall, I think it was a healthy conversation. I think that, I didn't do any research to prepare for this conversation. I, there was many opportunities where you gave me the opportunity to back out. You're like, hey man, are you sure you want to do this? And I think that was ultimately out of your respect of like, hey, you know, this is probably only a lose-lose for you. But for me, I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide. I was looking forward to the conversation. And there was a point in the conversation where I felt like, oh man, I think he's, going to go on attack mode. But I think you respectfully made some good points. I think that there's some things that we agree on, and there's some things that we disagree on. And I honestly think that there was more people in this world that could like have a conversation with people that, is a healthy debate in a respectable way. And like, we can be friends, even though we don't necessarily agree on everything. If there was more of that, we'd probably live in a much better place.
Yeah. I still think selling courses is fucking stupid. You'll never convince me of that. And I hope it works out. I hope it works out for you. I just, and call it ignorance, whatever you want. But,
Did you get burned on a course at some point in your life? Like, have you ever bought a course? Have you ever bought a course?
yeah, I bought plenty of courses actually. And most of them are very fluffy, generic. The issues I have stem from people that they're charging as much money as it costs for a mortgage. And if we look at, for example, like Andy Elliott, this is just an anecdotal. I was having a conversation with someone today. Andy Elliott has a kind of like a semi cult following. If we look at people like Jordan Belfort, they have a semi cult following. And if we look at Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, whoever the fuck it is, the challenge that you get with these people is that they'll make these type of claims where they'll say things like you have financial freedom. Um, Andy Elliott one of his main claims to fame is he closed $700,000 at a dealership. The thing that he doesn't disclose is that he did it through lying to the banks, and he was working.
Was it like bad loans or something?
Well, it was bad loans. So the way that Andy Elliott closed $700,000 is, first off, he was working with subprime, um, uh, non-credit worthy applicants that were turned away by every dealership except his. And they would go and they'd get approved. He would tell the bank, hey, this person put down a deposit when they didn't. And so he was falsifying those records. He actually got arrested for it and was put on trial, and then acted as a rat and ratted out all of his business partners. But he made a healthy amount of money in the process. Well, Andy Elliott, if you go and you type in his videos on YouTube, he goes around and creates this. And granted, he's a character, and that's his whole persona. But his entire act is based on shaming and berating young men into taking off their shirts and you have to have a six pack in order to work for me. Now, this is a total fucking, it's designed to be just very, very controversial. If you look at like people like Andrew Tate, things like that, that's not you, of course. But
what I'm curious, what courses have you bought?
so, well,
Like, you don't have to say specific, you either say specific or like, what was the topic?
yeah. So I actually, I pirated a lot of the courses for years and years. I would pirate it. I pirated courses from Jordan Belfort. I pirated courses from Grant Cardone.
What do you mean pirated? Like, found them like
Online for
didn't
free.
pay for it, but got
I didn't pay
access?
shit for them. Yeah. So I didn't pay shit for them. And
Just out of curiosity?
yeah, because I want to. So one is it was out of curiosity. Two, I wanted to look at the price tag. So what originally made me start going down this rabbit hole is when I started to see the price tags that were associated with this. It's a lucrative business. $150, $200, that's not shit. These people are charging $7,000, $9,000. I took a sales course. I don't want to name, the people, but it was an 8-week sales course that my company paid for. They charged $9,000. And I was like, what the fuck? This is totally basic bullshit ass information. And I, so going into the actual like course creation, there's a guy, he's friends with Scott Leese. I can't remember his name, but like I bought one of his courses. I bought who's the guy that writes content? It's on Audience Proof? Justin.
Well,
Yeah, I bought his shit. So I bought like things on like Justin Welsh. Well, just different things. And I bought
did you ever buy a course and feel like, oh, that was worth it? Or were all of them, did you feel like not worth it?
Justin Welch's is probably one of the more well put together ones. Josh Bryan, I didn't buy his course, but I've seen his course. I thought it was decently well put together. But again, these are like very small purchases. If you look at Chris Orloff with P Club, I had a subscription. I didn't pay for it. I had a subscription that a buddy gave to me, and I got to see the content that came out of his courses. Keenan from Gap Selling, he gave me a copy of his courses as well, and so I got to see that. Keenan's isn't bad. There's a lot of value that's out of that. When you're how I interpret or define value when we look at course creation is I need that. I want the course to be very meaty in the sense of you're not making it very surface level. The reason I call most of these out and I call them scams or predatory or snake oil is people will post this really ultra fluffy content that they found either through ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever the fuck, and they'll make this very surface level bullshit, and they'll be like, okay, here, give me $200 and it's yours. And everybody's doing that. And so if we look at course creation as it is now, it's basically become this bastardized term where people are just trying to make easy money, which more power to them, but it's equivalent to like LinkedIn course creation is equivalent to like an OnlyFans now to me. And so I'm looking at everybody as being a virtual prostitute with these fucking courses. They're everywhere. Courses are fucking everywhere. Everybody wants to monetize their fucking knowledge. Write a book. If you like this, and this is inherently the issue I had. Like anytime somebody's like, I want to put a $2,000 price tag on a course, and your courses are composed of 12 fucking videos, then it's like, okay, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, no offense, like I looked at your videos, I watched your videos, I saved them, and you charge $2,000 for basically like here's the I'll show you I'll show you. I'm not going to show you the videos and shit, but like this is I would consider this bad value based on the things that I saw here. So if we look at this, so start here, how to pick your market. Like, by the way, some of these are incomplete. Okay. So some of these videos that you have here are incomplete. And that would rub me the wrong way if I got charged $2,000 and I was part of a community, but the bulk of it is on school.com. That would to me would be a bad value. And that is the type of value that's what I'm talking about. These people that post, and maybe not you, and I hope you would add to it, but people that post really lightweight content and they charge 150, 250, whatever fucking amount of money. And they're like, okay, that's it. And then they don't update it. They don't put any more work into it. If your course that you're offering is a school, like an actual school, a classroom, and you're framing it as a classroom, it's not really a community. I mean, it technically is sort of, right? You have a Slack or a Discord or whatever the fuck it is. The value is if they want a community, they can go to fucking Facebook. If the bulk of the education is in the videos, I guess it's
Not though. It's not though.
it's you. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about all these other ones. I've bought in a few courses. I've joined some masterminds myself. There's some that I didn't find value. There's some that I bought there was tons of value and I never took action and didn't get the value. Right. So, with school specifically, I'm adding new stuff all the time. So when you looked at it, was there some incomplete? Yeah, because we were building it out. We were talking to people, seeing what people want. I was adding stuff to it. But the bulk of the value is having the conversations with people on our weekly calls, right? Where are you at? What questions do you have? Here's a specific topic. Like, 2 weeks ago, we covered how to comp properties, all the options of how you can comp properties, from doing it for free to paid options, what the rules are of comping, all of that. This week, we talked about all the marketing options. Hey, here's all the free marketing options. Here's the pros and cons of those. Here's the paid ones. Here's where I'd recommend you start. So that's the, like, and then they get to ask questions, right? So the course and video part is to give them a knowledge and understanding of how to execute on all these things. And then the weekly calls and engaging with other members. And as you saw, like, every video is like, okay, hey, if you have any questions, like, post something in here so other people can learn from each other, right?
Yeah.
So, that's how we've built it out. Do we have it all figured out? No.
Here's what I was with you. And I purposely don't do this. Like, this is very intentional for me. But if you're familiar with Alex Hermazi, and one of the main things that he does is he talks about building value. Like, you give just a ridiculous amount of value to your audience. And when we talk about when somebody invests in something like this, and this is an investment, you want someone to almost feel like, holy fuck, this is so much information. And I know that's what you're ultimately building towards. And I know what you want these people to have, this discovery, this epiphany, this aha moment, that they step into this chamber of secrets, that I'm taking all of the information from my brain and I'm putting it into these courses for you to be able to digest. And do you have to go? Is that where you're looking at your watch? Okay.
I just had a call.
Got it. If you have, what I would like to see with courses like yours is, you're going to be going down this road. It's fucking inevitable. Clint is definitely pushing for you to do this. He and I both talked for about an hour. What I would like to see is, I would like you to talk about, not just a shitty video where you post a 4-minute fucking clip and you talk like it's very unstructured in a sense where you're just talking. It's not polished. You're charging $2,000. I'm going to put you that fucking standard where there has to be some kind of polish. You make enough money where you can do that. I want to see more of a presentation. This is not a criticism against you, by the way. It's just, we're talking about delivery, a mechanism of delivering value. What I want to see from you is, give me the compliance problems. Give me the risks that are involved. Give me a classroom of all of the boring bullshit, and give me that, and structure the classroom in these fucking sections. Make it a boot camp. This motherfucker is a boot camp on real estate, and this is what you're going to learn. And that fucking language to me, and maybe it's because the way my brain is fucking wired and programmed and shit.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think some of that's good feedback. I think going into each of these sections and saying, hey, before you dive into any of that, here's all the shit that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Here's all the potential red flags. Here's all the risks. Like, are you sure you want to do this?
Have them watch that video
first. Be the first video in each section.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I think if you, which one, it automatically makes the value 20 times better instantly. Then you can justify charging motherfuckers whatever you want. By the way, like, I'm encouraging you to go the course crazy route if you're going to fucking do it. Add the cautionary. Here's why this doesn't make sense for someone, that if you do this, this is the problems that you get out of it. And they come out fucking educated, and they love that. People love it. There is a website. If you're familiar with reddit.com, there is this subreddit called Destroy My Game. And the entire concept around this subreddit is based on the fact that the feedback these developers will show their game, show their trailer, and they want the criticism. They want their game to be picked apart. And the feedback is ruthless. These people will fucking destroy your dreams. And yet people continue to post on these subreddits. Why is that? It's a community of over 40,000 for that one specific category where everybody just shits on your fucking creativity. And I say this as an example because people want the hard truth. And if we look at politically who's in office right now, and I don't want to make this a political argument, but people are tired of the normal status quo and they want the unpleasant truth. If we look at Donald Trump, what does he say? He says controversial shit. People fucking eat it up. And it's controversial, right? Controversy sells. And I think everybody can agree on that. But more importantly, I think that and I was having this conversation with Will Aitken earlier, but what people really want is they want authenticity in the content and they want authenticity in sincerity in the education. Real education to me is not always going to be sexy. Real estate isn't sexy. It's a very boring thing. And you have to have the right discipline to do it. So the people, and this all ties back into the type of people that are attracted to those offers are undisciplined people. People that are emotionally charged, that make decisions based on their gut. Those are the kinds of people that are going to buy in. They just want to get rich quick.
Yeah, I see that.
So a disciplined old man is not going to make those kind. You logically are going to go and be like, I might have a high risk tolerance, but I know like for you right now, you would not jump into a rando startup anymore. And if you had a startup that was pre-seed, pre-revenue, it would be fucking stupid. You would want to de-risk that deal. Young guys, you would encourage a young guy, go for it. Like it's just it's you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think you can make the content boring, and maybe it is intentionally boring, but it covers your ass. Because my content is really fucking boring. You open yourself up as a liability when you post this shit about like, you can. But if you make it boring and educational, like, yes, you'll sell less of it, but you get the right people and you can charge more for it. You can charge a fuck ton more, 5,000, 10,000. Who gives a fuck? Make up the difference in what you charge. You have the brand where you can do that. I'm not trying to lecture you, by the way. You have more, you definitely made more money than I do. You're more successful than I do, and you have a bigger following than I do. What the fuck do I know? But I say this as someone that I care about people, and I want to make sure that people are getting the right kinds of education. It's not tainted with the wrong agenda, the wrong intentions. And so, yeah.
No, I think this has probably been this last, I don't know, 15 minutes has probably been my favorite part of this conversation. So, there's some good feedback in there. And I think the last 15 minutes, we probably agree on more things than we did for.
Yeah. I think I don't have an issue. Like I said, I really truly don't have an issue with you. When we talk, this is the last thing, because there's not like a ton of other like points I have to make. Course creation is course creation. It's always going to fucking exist. But when we talk about courses, I want to see value. That's what I want to see as a consumer. I want to see fucking value. I want to get a ridiculous amount of value. If the intention is, I just want to present the value, I don't want to put any work into it. It's a one and done. Then make a fucking book. Like,
Yeah.
that's all you have to do. But if you're charging like 2,000, you have an obligation. At $2,000, there's now an obligation that I've got to make my content good. And maybe that's the expectation. People buy video games at $90 and get pissed off when the value out of the video games is not good. People go and get mad at $16 for a movie ticket, right? They'll go, if you go and you spend like $20 at the movies, and the movie sucks, you're not mad about the money. You're mad about my time being wasted. Nobody gives a fuck about the money. Go to the fucking Disney World. Why the fuck do people pay money for Disney World? It's $2,000 for a ticket for Disney World. Suck my dick, right? Like you take your whole fucking family, and you're agonizing over, oh god damn, look at these prices. Holy fuck. But then your kids are happy. And then you're like, it was worth it, right? So the cost is relative as fuck. But yeah, that's the whole point. That's what value to me is it's relative. And yeah, it doesn't need to be sexy. I don't think real estate needs to be sexy. Warren Buffett buys fucking trailer parks. It's not sexy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I appreciate the conversation. Maybe we'll do it again.
Yeah, for sure, man. Be good, dude. Hope you have a good one, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Later.